On 7 o'clock, I'm going to declare this meeting, the Stayton City Council, coming to order, and would all those wanting please join me for a flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's see, our staff is by and large assembled. Councilor Glidewell is not with us this evening yet.
She's on her way, Pastor.
She's what?
She's on her way.
She's on her way. Okay. So we'll expect her to roll in here in a little bit. Are there any additions to the agenda? Declarations of ex parte contact, conflicts of interest, bias, etc.? Okay. Hearing none, we're going to go to comments from the public. And I'm going to do these and then get to, I've got one public comment, but I'm going to hold that for just a minute. Julia Boxler, would you come up here, please? And this is those of you that drive our community
She left it.
have seen those. Yeah, there's no way. Did anybody get through there?
Yeah, you
Check
can
it
get
out.
there.
Oh, good.
Barely.
Skinny little me can slip right through there. Oh. Ooh. This lady took a derelict house, and she even knows the history of it, on 3rd and Hollister. And I could drive by it just about every day and think, well, at some point, fire chief's going to be here with his crew, and we'll have a little to learn some Saturday. Because it's been essentially abandoned, I thought, and had been for years. So she gets a hold of this property and renovates it, builds another very like structure next to it, and creates, what would have been a throwaway into something really useful and more neat housing and in our neighborhood too. So I wanted to give her this. It says, in recognition of her recent rehabilitation of a residential property located at 1282 North 3rd, right on the corner of 3rd and Hollister. And here, let's do this. So give you a picture. Thank you so very much. A little bit of arm twisting to get her to show up tonight, but I think it should be a thank you so much. It's right. All right. Okay. Let's see. Mr. Campbell, employee recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight we'd like to recognize employees for significant years of service, and we have a few of them here, and when we get to them, I'll invite them up. We'll go through each of them and talk a little about them and congratulate them on their the service to the city and to the community. First is Officer Daniel Alphabet. Mr. Officer Alphabet is recognized for 5 years of service. He began in 2011 as a reserve officer and was hired in 2012. Prior to that, he worked in Almsville from 2004 to 2011 as a reserve officer. In 2015, he was awarded the Case of the Year for the City of Stayton. His wife, Colleen, is a sergeant at the Woodburn PD. He enjoys spending time with his family. In 2016, he became a certified drug recognition expert. So congratulate Officer Daniel Altavef on his 5 years.
All right.
Reserve Officer David Bevins. I think he's here. Come on up. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
David's been a reserve officer now for 5 years with the city. He was the 2015 Reserve Police Officer of the Year, and he reached solo status in May of 2015 as well. His wife, Melanie, of 23 years, is a recent college graduate and works in human resources. He has a daughter, Madeline, who's starting high school, be a freshman this year. He enjoys coaching his daughter's softball team, building hot rods being
Custom cars, fabrication type stuff.
classic cars, along with shooting. He enjoys helping family and friends with projects and spending time with them. And he's been commended for handling challenging calls. And so I want to congratulate Officer Bevins for his service. Thank you very much. Bring that in. Perfect. There, thank you. Put them in right order if it would help. Reserve Officer Alan Pinto. Come on up, Alan. So Alan is celebrating his 5th year with the City of Stayton. He is a reserve police officer, and he is also the ordnance officer. Prior to this, he worked in the Parks and Recs Department in Los Angeles, City of Los Angeles, correct?
Yes.
He was the 2014 Reserve Officer of the Year. He has a dog, Luca. What kind of dog is Luca?
He's a pug.
A pug. His hobbies consist of hiking, camping, snowshoeing, riding motorcycles, not just jiu-jitsu, but Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Correct. And working out. His future hobbies, which I love this, will include mountaineering and snowboarding.
Yep. I plan to summit Mount Hood next year, hopefully by June.
All right. So thank you very much.
Thank
Alan
you.
Pinto. Stephanie Rubel is a volunteer and started as a volunteer with the City of Stayton 10 years ago, and then was hired as 11 years ago, hired as a library aide and promoted to a library assistant. She has served on numerous committees with the city, including the Safety Committee, Reference Committee, Catalog Committee, and board member of the Friends of the Library, secretary and historian. She has a BA in English from the University of Puget Sound, and she plays the oboe with the Salem Pops Orchestra.
Yes.
She also enjoys gaming and genealogy, and she is a board member of the Salem Pops Orchestra. Congratulations on 10 years service, Steph.
So I'd like, can I say something about Stephanie?
Yeah, please.
The first thing I was going to say is when you first said she was a volunteer, I was wondering where we could get those other volunteers that are there all the time. Every time I walk into the library, she's there. It's like, wow, some volunteer. I'd also like to say that she is extremely helpful when you're in the library, and I always look for her smiling face when I go in there. So congratulations, Stephanie.
So we have 2 more people who unfortunately couldn't be here, but we'll recognize them as well. Officer Justin Witherall is celebrating his 10 years of service with the city. He started as a reserve officer in 2005 and took a break. He came back in 2007, which is why he's celebrating his 10 years. Since his return, Officer Witherall has served as a patrol officer and as a detective. He is an instructor in the standardized field sobriety test and instructed several classes at the academy. He was recognized as the 2014 Police Officer of the Year, and he is currently working graveyard, which is the reason he can't be here tonight. So congratulations to Justin Witherall on his 10 years of service. Officer Michael Meeks is celebrating his 15th year serving the city of Stayton and the residents. He began as a reserve officer in the city of Hermiston in 1995. He went on to Pilot Rock in 1998 and the Umatilla Tribal Police in 1999. He has his associate's degree from Blue Mountain Community College. He has a wife, Rebecca. His hobbies include dual sports, motorcycles, hiking, and camping, and he has been a scoutmaster for the last 7 years for Troop 477. So help me congratulate Officer Michael Meeks on 15 years of service. So again, help me congratulate Michael Meeks for his 15 years of service.
Thank you, Keith. Chief, got an eclipse update by Chief Stevens and Lieutenant Button. And
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about what the Stayton Police Department has done to prepare for the Great American Eclipse. This much anticipated event is quickly approaching. Many have asked what we are doing to prepare, and that is what we are going to talk about briefly tonight. Our role is public safety, and our goal is to help make the Eclipse weekend a safe and enjoyable experience for both our citizens and our visitors. Although Stayton has a limited lodging accommodations, those visiting the region, we see Stayton as a hub city where visitors will come and get their groceries, fuel, and medical supplies. This will cause an influx of people utilizing resources. We also realize we need to be self-sufficient as an agency during the course of the weekend. Our partner agencies that we normally would rely on for assistance will be busy managing their own jurisdictions. The police department started planning for this event in March. We have worked closely with the Stayton Fire District and the Santiam Ambulance to develop a joint incident action plan. Additionally, we have developed an incident action plan for the police department staff. Our action plan starts on Friday, August 18th at 7 a.m. and runs through August 22nd at 7 a.m. To implement our plan, we will be relying on about 18 members of our agency daily. This includes paid and volunteer staff. Each member of our agency will have dedicated assignments. The front office of the police department will stay open 24 hours a day during the operation to improve accessibility to visitors in need of information and police services. Our patrol staffing levels will double in size during the 4-day weekend. In addition to doubling our staffing levels, we will have dedicated traffic officers to monitor traffic safety and officers dedicated to the city parks. We have a volunteer staff prepared to help as needed during the peak hours of each day. Prior to the event, we will be working with the Stayton Fire District to send out a series of public announcements. These announcements will be focused on educating the public on the rules and regulations of Stayton City Parks, safety tips, and non-emergency contact information.
Now, we can't specifically address what other agencies have or are doing, as we can't speak to it for them, but we can report on what we've been told by them. Santiam Hospital is working on the possibility of setting up an urgent care centers in the area, but have not finalized the exact location of them yet. Gas stations are preparing by getting early shipments of fuel and convenience store items and planning as if they will not receive their shipments that day. As of June 27th, Camp Talali has all 10 of their cabins rented, which hold eight people each, and are taking RV reservations, but we have not received an update on this yet. And they can handle up to 500 people. As of June 27th, Harvest Fest had 40 of the 54 spots reserved and 100-day viewing only spots. And the Friends of Old Town Stayton has 1 spot reserved as of today for the downtown parking lots. We will continue to monitor and prepare as we get closer and make changes to the plan if needed. There's an emergency services planning meeting scheduled for tomorrow evening for the Marion County agencies to participate in that we will also be involved with. That's our report, unless anybody has any questions about it.
So I attended the meeting last Thursday of all of the agencies. I was happy to hear that they're actually going to have a plane. I guess, I don't know if it's the Sheriff's Department, I think, is going to actually have a plane in the sky reporting back on the traffic flow on 22 and other places, trying to let people know, other agencies know if there's going to be a problem. One of the things that has been of concern to me is the fact that I actually can still go into a place of business occasionally, one last week, where people don't seem to know about it. And I guess I don't know if I feel like maybe we're not doing enough to let individual businesses know so they're prepared for it. I mean, I understand that it's possible not as many people may come as we think, However, the large group that met on Thursday was talking about what a great opportunity it is, even if that many people did not show up, for us to actually be able to see how we could coordinate services that are needed. Spirit Mountain, is keeping 1,100 of their staff on site for 3 days. They did not rent out their event center. They put emergency cots in it to keep their people off of the road. There were also a lot of talk about making sure and letting people know that do not have businesses that are absolutely, that need to be open on that Monday, to let them know that it might be wise to not have their staff come to their businesses to close on those days. So I guess I'm wondering if we might want to look at, I don't know if you've looked at also the sheriff did a new website that showed like 5 things that all businesses need to know or do during the eclipse. And I don't know if we need to have, I really don't know what we need to do except for maybe have some kind of a local meeting for our business people here in the Stayton area that they could get information about. Where do they send someone that comes into their store that wants to know where they can camp? You know what I mean? I'm just feeling like that when I'm talking to businesses locally, they are not getting the information, and I'm not sure how we can deal with that, but I'm really feeling like being over-prepared, we're probably going to be in a better position than being under-prepared. And I think obviously our police department is prepared and has put thought into that, but I think that where the lack of preparedness may be coming from is the local businesses, and I feel like if there is a problem, it doesn't matter that we were prepared and they weren't. It's somehow going to come back that we didn't do as much as we should have done. So I guess I was just, one of the reasons I had asked to have this put on the agenda and then found out it was already on the agenda was after the meeting that we were at with, Dan, how many people? 80 people, 100 people, which were the Forest Service, the Sheriff's Department, OMSI. I mean, they are all pretty darn sure that there's going to be hundreds of thousands of extra people in our area. And I just don't know that people are prepared for that, and I don't know, and again, I'm kind of not knowing where to go with it, except for to maybe try and do something local to get the local businesses in one spot so we can talk about the fact that this is happening. So again, just a concern I have that somehow people aren't, when you get in a room with that many people like you, and they're all kind of freaking out, then I start to wonder, hey, are we missing something? These people are serious about what they're doing. I guess you know that the fairgrounds, who's holding thousands of people in Marion County Fair, is full. The Amtrak has put on an additional train coming to the Salem area, which is like hard. They said it was like a matter of enormity to get an extra train on Amtrak, and they actually did it because there were not enough cars to rent to get from Portland to Salem. I mean, it is a little scary to think about how many people are coming here, and for our some of our local businesses not to be aware of it and be ready, I guess, is a little scary to me. So just wanted to talk about maybe what we could do at some point to get together and talk about, sometimes you have to send out an invitation that, I was looking at the 5 things that all businesses should do, and some of them are pretty scary. And I thought that's what we need to send along with the invitation to the meeting. The thing that says that you should not, if you have employees at your place of business on Monday, you might want to make sure that you have food, water, and a sleeping bag for them in your office. I think that you send out a few things like that along with an invitation that says, come and hear about what happens, and you may have people show up, because I just don't think that people are aware of what could happen. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but of what could happen. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Brian, car rental agencies, have you been hit with?
We're completely sold out for the 21st, yes.
Really? Oh my gosh, okay. Wow. And you're in Tigard, right?
In Portland.
Portland, okay. Wow, okay. Well, maybe we'll catch up on it. Thanks. Any other questions? More?
I did have one more, and I've already actually talked to Keith about this. I know that there probably are no more porta potties anywhere.
That's correct.
Except, I mean, we have farmers in this town that have got to have porta potties on their property. For us not to have some other place for people to relieve themselves in our area, I think is, again, asking for major problems when we have hundreds of thousands of extra people and no bathrooms anywhere. So that was another major concern I had.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Gentlemen, thanks.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Under present comments from the public, Mr. Ayers. Don? For the record, tell us who you are and where you live, please.
I'm Donald Ayers, and I live on 180 West Virginia Street, just pretty much around the corner. I'm concerned about this video that's going around on YouTube about an incident with the police department and a handicapped person a couple of days ago. I'd kind of like to know where the city is standing on that and what they're doing to solve the problem, find out exactly what happened.
Chief or Keith, either one.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Who wants to take that one?
The city is aware of the incident. We are taking the matter seriously, and we are investigating the matter, and right now that's what we can say on the topic.
Okay, is the community going to be kept abreast of the situation, or is it just going to be something that's mentioned in the paper and then buried?
Right now, we're aware of the situation, and we're taking the matter seriously, but that's all the comment we can make at this time.
Okay, that's what I would like to know. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Don. Anyone else under comments from the public? Anything? Here's a chance. There'll be another chance at the end of the meeting, but let's go on then to the consent agenda. For June 19th, 2017, the City Council minutes. Folks have had a chance to look at those.
Do we accept them as written, sir?
Okay. Got a motion to accept the minutes as presented? And
Mr. Mayor.
We've lost
Yes.
a council member.
Where'd she go?
No, but I'll second it.
Okay. All right.
Just make a note she's not here.
Okay. Yeah, let's go to a vote on that then. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All opposed, same sign. And one absent on that. All right, in the agenda, we have resolution, well, I've got it here, 963, amending rules governing the use of the community center, Jordan Bridge, city parks, and other city facilities. Chief Stevens.
Mayor and Council, I bring to you tonight Resolution 963, which amends the rules governing the use of the community center, Jordan Bridge, city parks, and other city facilities. Several years ago, we put into effect and allowed for alcohol to be used in the different facilities that are owned by the city for different events, whether it be weddings or funerals or some kind of other kind of gatherings. And at the time, we weren't sure exactly how that was going to affect the rentals, and so we came back to update this and make changes based on things that we've seen. And so we were able to change the security levels, which makes it a little bit easier for people to lease the building. And then we actually made some changes to the rental rules that had to do with facilities that we are allowed to rent now because of recreational immunity. We can no longer rent out the full parks and several of the other facilities, and so we took those out of there as well as being able to be leased by the city, leased out to the public.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Yes.
So, Rich, it looks like we've taken out the ability to rent the picnic tables or the pavilions in the parks. Is that one of the things you were talking about, that we can't do that anymore?
Correct.
I would say we can, it's just been strongly recommended from our CIS that we not rent them out any longer. That's their recommendation.
That's a liability issue, you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay.
Chief, can people still rent this building, say, wedding receptions?
Correct.
And have alcohol here?
Correct. This building and the Jordan Bridge can still be leased out, and the concession stand at the Pioneer Park can still be leased out, and they can have alcohol at all three of those locations under certain requirements that they have to use.
Okay.
So they have to have security or paid servers through a licensed business, such as a licensed caterer or licensed restaurant.
Okay. We've had concerns in the past with alcohol in this building. Some wedding receptions get kind of wild and woolly. They're fun, but when you're
Those when we've had those issues, it was pre-security.
pre-security.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Good enough. Anyone else?
I have one more.
Sorry.
I have another.
Oh, please.
Is this going to affect any events like the car show that goes on at the Summerfest?
Do you know how the car show, do they lease that out, or do they just use it?
They use the facility, they do give a donation for the use of it, but they do that
Yeah.
without paying any
Pioneer
fees.
Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it falls under that recreational immunity, but he's in the past always given a donation. We don't make that a requirement for.
So they'll be able to continue?
Correct.
Okay.
To explain that a little bit better, recreational immunity protects the city from lawsuits when people get hurt at a park doing recreational type activities. And as soon as you add a fee to renting that, you lose your recreational immunity. And so if we rent out the park for a full day, then we no longer have recreational immunity for kids playing on the swings and things like that.
Okay. Other questions or thoughts? Some action on this one then, please.
Move we make the changes as noted, sir.
Let's see. So, option one, that approved resolution 963? Okay. Got a motion to approve resolution 963, adopting rules governing the use of community center, Jordan Bridge, city parks, and other city facilities, and appealing previous rules. Appealing or repealing?
Repealing.
Repealing. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, repealing previous rules. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, a motion and a second then to approve resolution 963. There any discussion, please? Okay, let's go to a vote. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0, and that will go with that. Next is Wilco Road Industrial Area Infrastructure Improvements. Mr. Fleischman.
Good, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. You may recall about a year ago, the city received a grant from the Infrastructure Finance Authority of Oregon to do a study of the infrastructure needs in the Wilco Road industrial area and the options for financing those infrastructure needs. We have about 75 acres of vacant land that is zoned industrial and commercial Substantial majority of that land has been listed on the open market for at least the past 11 years that I've worked here, and perhaps a couple of years longer than that, I don't know. But there's been no development activity out there for probably 15 years, and I've come to the conclusion that if the city wants to see development activity out there, we're going to need to make some investments in infrastructure to help make it happen. The primary issue is the Wilco Road, Shaft Road, Golf Club Road intersection is close to meeting the engineering warrants for signalization. If someone were to come along and put a substantial amount of traffic through that intersection, then those warrants would be met. And if we were to require that development to signalize the intersection and make the improvements necessary to facilitate that, it would be a deal killer for almost any project. And so if we want to see development there, I think the city's going to need to step forward and plan to invest in those improvements. And really the question is, how do we go about doing that? You've got in your packet a fairly detailed memorandum from the city engineer to look at how do we implement the conceptual plan improvements that were developed about 3 years ago by the city and Marion County Public Works for what the future of Wilco Road and the two intersections at either end would look like, with some preliminary cost estimates for implementing that. John Ashley, the city engineer, looked not just at the street improvements, but for the industrially zoned land. The Dozler property that is at the west end of the city is not served by sewer and water today. Any development of that property would require extension of sewer lines and water lines, so those costs are estimated in here. And John's preliminary estimate is in the range of $6.5 to $7 million for the improvements to the road, the signalization, and the extension of sewer and water utilities. Also in your packet is the other part of the grant was to pay for an analysis of how do we finance it. So we've got a preliminary memorandum from the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments that spells out a variety of financing options that are available for infrastructure improvements. Renata Wakely, the Community Development Director at the COG, and the author of that memo is here tonight if you have questions for her. So there are grant programs out there. The ones that are, in my mind, most likely to be of significant assistance would be ones that will depend on actually having a business lined up that if we build it, they will come. To do things speculatively would be very iffy to get financial assistance. But the most promising, I believe, is to use tax increment financing, which would involve setting up an urban renewal area and using the property tax revenue from the new value that is created within the urban renewal area to finance the activities of the Urban Renewal Authority, which in this case would be the infrastructure improvements that are necessary in the area. We've done a preliminary assessment. If there is development activity in the commercial industrial area, and if the urban renewal area is drawn to include some of the recently approved residential subdivision activity in the area that would benefit by these improvements, then I project that there is, in the next 10 years, there could be as much as $40 million in new valuation that could be captured to pay for these infrastructure improvements in that area. That's just looking at the some projected the residential development in the area and assigning a 3% growth rate to the existing valuation in that area. So we can answer questions that you have on the reports. I don't want to go into detail in my narrative on stuff you've got in the packet, but the staff recommendation to you would be that we continue to look at the idea of an urban renewal area, which would mean meeting with the other taxing jurisdictions, doing the detailed financial analysis of what type of revenue an urban renewal authority would be able to generate, and then come back to you with additional information.
Ms. Gladwell.
So,
Counselor?
help me out here, Dan. I had thought that the urban renewal district, which when I had been part of something that looked at that before, didn't include that Four Corners area there. So can we spend, or if it does, then just tell me I'm wrong. If it doesn't, would we be expanding it to include that? Or can you spend urban renewal money on projects that are outside of that urban renewal boundary?
The urban renewal district that the city set up 10 years or so ago, maybe 9, did not include that area, but that district no longer exists.
Okay, so we could make it include that.
This would involve establishing a new district, drawing new boundaries.
Right, okay, got it.
Dan, about a year and a half ago in Planning Commission, we agreed to make a work-live space or a business incubator, excuse me, on Wilco, and also allow some grow operations out there for indoor grows. Have we had any positive response to those?
No. There's been, to follow up on Councilor Cronquist's question, the city established a new zoning district at the south end of Wilco Road at the intersection of Wilco and West Washington. There's been no activity. My understanding is the property owner there is still kicking around ideas, is still interested in doing something, but has not come back to the city with a development application.
Does Renata have any, Renata, I assume? Does she have anybody who could fit in there, or?
I have kind of an answer to your question. The person who owns that property that came and asked about that, right? Still has plans for that, as far as I know.
And as far as I know, he still does. He just has not
Right, yeah.
come forward
I just
with them.
talked to him last week,
application.
and there's still plans there.
Yeah,
So,
I'm in touch
yeah.
with him every couple months as someone comes to me looking for a space for their business, and I go, oh, well, you should contact Mr. Moyer. And then I send Mr. Moyer an email saying, I've heard from so-and-so. Here's...
I wasn't talking to him specifically about anything in the city.
Yeah.
So we were working on a different project, but he mentioned it, so.
I think it's brilliant to kick it off.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
Getting back to the proposed urban renewal area, we've been having this chicken and egg problem forever. So I would authorize staff to continue to explore the establishment of an urban renewal area to assist in financing infrastructure improvements in the Wilco Road industrial area.
Second.
Okay, good. I've got a motion and a second to, I think it's option 1, explore the establishment of an urban renewal area. Motion and a second. Under discussion, Dan, would we know if people were taking these small steps? I'm thinking signalization on there, whatever triggers that. I think you called them warrants.
That's what the engineers call it, yep.
Okay, engineers call them that. as we make these small, let's say small gradual improvements out there, let's say we do it a little bit piecemeal, but moving forward, would prospective clients, buyers, whatever, would they know, would they be updated, would everyone know when those improvements were about to trigger that signalization, that major improvement? Major expenditure, excuse me.
Yeah, the simple answer to that question is yes. If the city were to commit itself to making those investments and had a financing plan to do so, then if someone were to come to the city and say, hey, I want to buy 10 acres and I'm going to build a widget factory and I'm going to generate 200 cars in the peak hour, we would say, oh, we're going to make those improvements in 4 years or 7 years. You don't have to do that now before you open your factory.
Okay.
And so that would relieve that, because right now, today, without that plan in place, someone puts that last car through the intersection that trips the warrant, we're going to say, you're now responsible for making the improvements necessary to serve your development.
And they say, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And when they find out that the price tag is $4.5 or $5 million, you know, even if it was a new Toyota plant, probably, which we're not going to see, they're going to go, no, thank you. It'll never work out. And for years, we've actually, you know, when McDonald's and maybe Roth's were built and the Shell station across the street, I believe the city collected a minuscule amount of money from those developments. Like, I don't think in total that it was 6 digits. And that's been sort of set aside, so, but that's a drop in the proverbial bucket, and we've known for decades that these improvements are going to need to be made. The difficult part is with this intersection, it can't be done piecemeal. Right now, that intersection works because everybody comes to a stop, and then you go through the curve if you're going north from Wilco onto Golf Club. But when those stop signs disappear and you are approaching that intersection at a green light and try to go through the intersection at 40 miles an hour, that curve's too sharp. So the whole intersection, when the time comes to signalize, the whole intersection needs to be realigned and essentially pushed to the west so that it's a wider radius and traffic can go through without stopping.
Okay.
That's
Go ahead.
a substantial portion of why the price tag is so
All right.
big.
Thank you, Dan.
So in part of what you said, Dan, and I actually think maybe we're getting off a little bit because I actually just agree with what the motion that was made. But you said that in order to qualify for some of the grants we're applying for, we probably need to identify somebody that's actually wanting to locate their business there. Is that that's what I understood you to say?
That would be helpful, yes.
Right. And so with that in mind, will we be able to get help from SEDCOR or Blaine Council of Governments or someone else once we make a decision to move forward with making those improvements to perhaps promoting that piece of property?
We have been receiving that help for years. I mean, several months ago, SEDCOR was very active with a potential purchaser of some of the industrially zoned land. They chose for other reasons to locate elsewhere.
But that makes a whole new market once we decide that we're going to do something new there.
Yeah. And at one point, 8 to 11 years ago, the Dozler property was on the state's list of certified industrial properties. That's a process that you need to renew the certification periodically. I don't know whether it's 5 years or 7 years, however long you're on the list, and then you need to do it. And the owners chose not to recertify, but the idea is those are properties that are, quote, shovel-ready. But this is property that needs 400 feet of sewer and water line extended just to get to the property line. So it's really not shovel-ready. It is zoned industrial. Someone could easily go through the site plan review process, but there are significant infrastructure needs in order for that property to really be attractive to somebody.
I agree, let's.
Mr. Mayor, copy the question, please.
Yes, that's
Well,
fine, thank you.
Mr. Quigley, can I ask the planning director one quick question, sir? Do you mind?
It's up to the chair.
Go ahead.
Dan, would we buy any time by moving that intersection to 30 miles an hour would that do any benefit?
I'm not a traffic engineer, so I'm not about to answer
And
that
just a
question.
Band-Aid, I don't know, I have I have no idea.
Okay, we've had a call for the question, and the question is, what do I do with that? A motion and a second to authorize staff to continue to explore the establishment of an urban renewal area to assist in financing infrastructure improvements in the Wilco Road industrial area. Question's been called. All in favor say aye, please. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, we'll declare the motion passed 5-0, and we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which I think is staff and commission reports. Finance Department report, and
Mr. Mayor, I'll be happy to. We have switched to our new billing system. There is some notes in that. It does have the numbers kind of fluctuating a little bit as we transition. The delinquent notices going out was because we changed the system. We sent out additional ones that we normally don't, and we're making a correction on that, so I just wanted to call attention to that. And I'd be happy to answer any additional questions.
Keith, the other amount of checks was because of the property Marion Street, right?
Yeah, what you're seeing in the additional cost there is the payment for the Marion Street project.
and wonder of wonder, I'm not even going to fuss about that this month, so that'll surprise and amaze everyone. Next is, thank you, Keith, on that. Police Chief's report, Mr. Stevens.
Mayor and Council, you have a statistical report in front of you for the month of June. Most of the numbers are in line, although you will see, if you look at the year-to-date numbers, most of those are increased quite a bit from past the previous years. But when I look at that, those numbers and analyze what those are from, the majority of those are from self-initiated, an increase in self-initiated activities from the officers. It means the officers are doing more traffic enforcement, they're doing more activities out in the parks, more foot patrols, more ordinance enforcement and things like that. And that's where a lot of those numbers come from. When you look up the actual types of cases that they're responding to, those are pretty much for the most part staying the same, if not decreasing on some of those. As far as what's going on in the police department, August 1st is our National Night Out. We want to again invite you to each one of the parks and come out and enjoy a hamburger or a hot dog barbecued by the police department. And the Police Advisory Board, they all help out as well, barbecuing those. It's a good time to get to know your neighbors and get to know the officers that work for you. To go back to what was mentioned earlier with Councilor Glidewell and talking about the businesses, and this, I don't mean this to sound like passing the buck, but a good way to get that information out is through the chamber to the businesses. And the chamber has the best contacts with the different businesses around, and that's the type of thing that it's good for them to pass out that information and get that information about the eclipses out through the chamber.
So, Rich, I had actually talked to the chamber about that and was asked about the possibility of a joint meeting the first week or so in August so that we could have city staff there as well as chamber and business people. So I was going to talk to you about that
Great.
outside of this meeting.
Great.
So we
You did
have
reach
been
out to them?
talking.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Oh, but I have another question that's not about that.
Go ahead.
The night out thing.
Yes.
I think it was last year, it was like 3 of the city councilors were all at the same park, and I was kind of wondering what park people were going to be at, so we could kind of be spread around maybe, and so the community knows who their councilors are.
Yeah, but we want to be at the fun, cool park.
You had the music.
Where's the best?
So I didn't know that any parks having music.
Remember you had my little stereo?
Oh, that's right, I brought your little stereo last year, yeah. I've got one of those
Yeah,
now.
was it
I
me?
bought it. Bought one. Anyway, so I was just wondering if people knew where they were going to be, but I guess I could ask that.
Is there an activity, why don't we just divide it up? Is there an activity at Riverfront Park, sir?
No, where the parks that are opened up that we're barbecuing at are the Santiam Station Park, Pioneer Park, Quail Run, Eagle Park, and Westtown Park. The only one that we're not at is at the Community Center Park. We did one several years in a row at the Community Center Park and had very, very low attendance, as in down in 1 or 2 people showing up to that park.
So I think the thing is a whole bunch of us live right around the same park.
Yeah, 'cause we end up going to Pioneer. We'll see
So
you-
do I.
see you there.
North-south.
Yeah.
We all end up at Pioneer. Maybe we ought to just put out a news release that says all of your city councilors will be at Pioneer Park.
Oh, we just divvy them up right
Eating
now.
hamburgers.
Why don't we just divvy them up right now?
I'll be in Canada, so you don't have to worry about me.
They have parks. Let's see, where will Sandy and I go? Maybe over to, maybe we'll go over to Quail Run.
You'll go to Quail Run?
We'll go to Quail Run.
Priscilla, I assume you'll be at Pioneer?
I can do Pioneer, I can do Westtown, I can do anything. Where's everyone else going to be? I was going to take
It's his
one.
birthday.
at-
My
It's his
birthday, I won't be there.
You mean you're not having your party at the parks thing?
No, because you're taking Pioneer Park.
No, I
Jennifer,
think,
where do you want to be?
I think Jennifer, she lives
I don't know
near
if I'll
Pioneer
be there.
Park. Oh, okay. So this is what I'm going to do, Marcus. I'm just going to drive around from park to park. I'll wave to people as
Well,
they
Hank's
go
got
by.
Quail Run. Priscilla, Hank's got Quail Run. Why don't you take Pioneer and I'll take Westtown or something?
Okay, that sounds good.
Then we have
There we go. All right. Good, got that. Anything else there? Mr. Ludwig, Public Works, please.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Before you, you have the monthly operating report for June. In an effort to try to clarify things that have gone on, the treatment plant treated 36.91 million gallons of sewer last month. The water treatment plant produced 3,319 million gallons of water in one day. We installed some water meters. We flushed the hydrants throughout the city, swept some curbs, and collected some material from that. We had one new single-family dwelling permit that came in that we issued. Marion Street was completed this last month, and the Pioneer Park pedestrian bridge was completed as well. I hope you all have a chance to go over there and look at that. It's a real nice addition to the park. And that's really all I have as far as the monthly operating report, and I'll answer any questions that you have.
Thank you for the iServe, too.
Go ahead.
My duck, my,
I serve, yeah.
okay, my Oregon Duck daughter loves the fire hydrants.
Excellent.
So does Gus. Do we get, Lance, do we get any help at all with flushing and maintaining those fire hydrants?
No, we maintain, excuse me, no, we maintain those, and I'd just soon do it ourselves anyway.
Okay.
Since it has a lot to do with keeping your drinking water clean as well, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, good, good. That's a great answer. It would,
Well,
it'd be easy to, yeah. What else was I gonna ask about? Oh, God.
While you're,
Can't think of anything.
while you're thinking about that, Commissioner or Councilor Cronquist did bring up iServe. iServe, what did take place this last month on June 24th, and there was probably a group of 100, 150 or so volunteers from Foothills Church and some of the other outlying churches. We had a list this year for the city of painting the downtown fire hydrants yellow and green. They look really nice.
New Life Foursquare Church did that.
Okay. They also went down to the trees of Wilderness Park and they cut some ivy off the bottom of the trees to try to prevent some of that ivy getting up into the upper high and killing the trees. Jordan Bridge kiosk was repainted, as well as the police department sidewalk and parking lot. We had that all pressure washed. Bark dust was spread out here outside the community center as well as in front of the pool and the parking lots. And still pending, I'm waiting on the Methodist Church to paint the entrance signs to Stayton. They're scheduled to be painted, they were scheduled to be painted last week, but they had to put it on hold, so I'm hoping to see that come by this week.
These are the Tinker Toy signs?
I'm not sure what signs.
Not the official city signs, but the ones that look like Tinker Toys with the gears.
Not really sure. There's the entryway signs. That's the one I'm referring to.
Who paints the sign coming in off Wilco Road? Is that a state, the Welcome to Stayton sign?
That's a county. We're currently working with the county to.
Awesome. Thank you, Keith.
To update those signs. It's been a little more of a challenge than I liked. I would have hoped they'd been done by now, but I know we had a citizen contact me about that as well, and he's probably curious why they're not done yet, but we ran into some bureaucracy, but I think we finally have maybe jumped that hurdle, and I hope within the next, I'll say month, we have new signs.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
So,
Lance, go ahead, please.
So are you aware that they are giving out special permits for towns to put signs on Highway 22 to get Eclipse people into their town? I was sure that we probably didn't want to put one up. I wasn't sure. But yes, on the other side of 22, Dallas
You probably have to
and
talk to the state to get that approval because it's state right away.
the state was there too. And so because the places like Dallas and Independence are wanting people to come off of 22 and come into their town, they can get an expedited permit to put a sign out on 22. But like I said, I wasn't sure that we were really
So you're
interested.
proposing we get one that says, "Don't stop here"?
Gates, that way.
No public restrooms.
Or for customers only. Lance.
Bill said you got all the porta potties before we did.
Lance, a big thanks on behalf of the handicap community. That new footbridge has a complete wheelchair access all the way around both bridges.
Yes, it is.
And that's neat.
Have you been out there? My parks employee, Bob Parsons, was out there last week, and he said there was an entire van of folks in wheelchairs, and they were using that bridge, and they just came to that for that specific reason to check that out. So it's a good addition to the city.
Yeah, I encountered one of the neighbors, or a person in that neighborhood area in a wheelchair who wasn't aware of it. And I said, go explore that. That's really a neat thing. You guys did a good job with that.
Thank you.
Okay, who's next? Jana? No, Mr. Fleischman. Hold on, library. Mr. Fleischman, go ahead.
Thank you. You've got my monthly report for June in front of you. Probably the highlight of the month was the work I did with Friends of Old Town Stayton on the tour of possibilities, the tour of the empty business spaces downtown. That was a very successful event. Attended a meeting with Marion County to talk about the future of rail service here on the east side of the county. The county is has sent out a request for qualifications for consultants to look into the economic viability of reestablishing rail service down here. I think it'll be about 2 weeks or so before those proposals are due. The city will continue to be involved in that project, and have spent some time working with the Rotary Club, who is working on a project to expand the trail network here within the city. So those are the highlights of my report.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Dan, that tour was awesome. There were some brochures that you or Lisa prepared that were wonderful. Are there any, I grabbed all the spares. Are there spares that we could all have? Because you did that tour brochure showing what the building was?
Yes, there are extras of those brochure, but that was prepared by Michelle, the rare participant who's working at the county assisting the Friends of Old Town Stayton. She was the one that did the production of that. But yes, I have copies of that, and I can get them across the City Hall in your mailboxes if you...
That'd be great. I've given all mine away, and everybody loved them.
Yep.
It was a great job. Thank you.
All right. Jana.
So you have my report before you. I'd like to invite you to our author visit in August on the 17th. It's a local author. The 17th of August it's a local author who is actually a Stayton High grad and teaches at a university in England. And he'll be home for 2 weeks in the summer, and so he'll be here for that. On my stat sheet, you'll see on the back a kind of interesting number for June for children and adults at children's programs. So we had 798 kids and adults come to our programming in June, and then we had 1,035 come as part of school visits or get visited by Castle and John promoting summer reading. So that's our outlier number.
Okay, thank you. Other questions of Jana at all?
Jan, I just want to tell you that that wasn't June, it was July, but I thoroughly enjoyed the Who Lived Here historic.
It went really, really well.
They had a person come and speak and kind of took on the torch of Ernst Lau and went through all of the houses and told you who lived in the houses, what they used to look like, what they look like now. It was extremely interesting. She did a very, very good job, and it was very, very interesting.
It was really amazing to have many of the homeowners there also, and to have a nice audience participation who also knew some of the history of it. I'm glad it was good.
All right. Comments, presentations from the public? Anything? Business from the city administrator. Keith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have anything this evening.
Okay. I don't have anything this evening either. Business from the council? Anything? Future agenda items, August 7th. Let's see, that's a significant date. Alley vacation, pool fees, emergency mitigation. Anything else this evening? Let's go home.